out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You are tuned to Apartment 5B podcast, hosted by your man, Kel. I got my squad with me in effect. As always, I got my brother from Brooklyn. Well, they're both from Brooklyn. But, Veg, let's start with you. What's going on, fam?
It's good, man. I'm, working my way back to Knicks fandom. Baby steps. I could be triggered at any moment. Not by the players. I just don't want to see Dolan. Don't, keep his ass.
Amen.
Because it's been working, So, yeah, my brother's not too happy with Soy.
All right, no doubt. And JR, the youngest in charge, R&B guru. What's going on, fam?
What's going on? They coming to talk about the Knicks, so this is going to be a good show. Let's do this.
This dude, look, I don't even want to talk basketball, man. Fuck
oh, yeah, go on. Go ahead.
No. I mean, I'm glad. I think Celtics fans and Knicks fans are probably the happiest fans. Y'all may be the only people watching right now, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? Maybe Milwaukee fans. But that's a whole nother show for Apartment 5B that I definitely want to get into. But this week's show, before we even get started, I want to give a shout out to everybody who came through our live podcast last week at the National Hip Hop Museum. Shout out to DJ Boom for letting us use the space. It was a dope house. JR was on the panel. It was me, Grap Lover, Trey Lee, my man Iron, JR and Rel. Dope conversation about the hip hop Bible and what albums made it from 88 to 92 with 12 albums. Great discussions. For me, the highlight will probably be Grap talking about the making of Mecca and the Soul Brother, and just going into real detail about the session for they reminisce over you. JR, what about you? What was the highlight for you, bro?
It was just the highlight of it was just everybody was just, it was so interactive. You know what I mean? So it was like when one of us named the album, it just, you saw how hyped the crowd got just to talk about it. You know what I mean? So when I threw out the low end theory, I just looked around and you looked at me, it was like, damn, you throwing it out already? Like, shit.
I'm like, yo, you throwing out the big joke already.
Yeah, and everybody was ready. It was so interactive, and the way everybody was just talking about how the albums fell. It was dope. It was such a dope show, really.
Yeah, I do like that, because I do like that interaction. It's always dope up here talking with the panel, but it's like to have people in real time be able to kind of, the difference between going to see a show, at Madison Square Garden and going to SOBs. It's like you're more, you can see the crowd, you can interact with them and everything like that. So definitely shout out to everybody.
One more thing that I did like too, though, was
that?
When it comes to hip hop, it's about comp. So an argument started, a debate started, and I love it because Kill knew when it was about to go left. Kill when they were talking about the three, when it was you had to jump in and say, "Well, y'all, we got," because Kill saw where it was going, and he was like, "I, y'all, wait."
Yeah,
Iron, you know him.
And it's funny, Veg. I don't know if you feel this way when you're doing things, but EAA is just what raised me. So anytime I'm like, yo, this ain't good radio. Like we going off the hinges right here. This ain't good radio. You know what I mean? And what the topic was is we were talking about Rakim, KRS, and Kane, and Trey was like, well, we can't talk about those three and leave out G-Rap. So he was like, somebody got to come off of that three. And then it was just like, what is it about us that three is just embedded in our minds? Because now, even when we're talking hip hop now, or when we were, it was Cole, Kendrick, and Drake. Like, what is it about three? Is that we just can't have four? Like, where did that come from, and why are we saying we got to get rid of one to add G-Rap or whatever like that? So it was about to go left, but we're gonna bring it back. You know what I mean? Because here's the crazy part. That may be a show, because people would definitely hype to argue about that one. So right, you know what I mean? So that's it. But to keep going what we were doing, we are still talking about the hip hop Bible. Right now we are at, and for people who may be new and may not know about it, the young boys on Twitter are always like, Nas's Illmatic is the hip hop Bible. One day I posted Criminal Minded and I was like, this is my hip hop Bible. Then it hit me like, can one album be the hip hop Bible? I don't think so. 66 books in the Bible. Let's look at 66 albums that if the world ended tomorrow, what would the 66 albums be that we want to pass on to the next generation? For the 80s, from 80 to 89, we had 24. From 90 to 99, we had 24. From 2000 to 2024, we have 18. Now, somebody asked me, Kill, why, 24 for the 80s, 24 for the 90s, 18 only for the 2000s? I don't think the 2000s are as good as the 80s and the 90s. And then I need the math. So we had to get to 66, and I'm not shortchanging the 80s or the 90s. That ain't going to happen. So that's why we're only dealing with 18 right now. And we are setting it off with 2000 to 2012. You know what I mean? Now, I'm interested to see how people did it. Did y'all look at the whole scope? Did y'all pick different ones? Or we just, because it's almost like if you pick 9 this time, or there even 9 albums from 2013 to 2024. But we'll talk about that. I'm going to set it off. JR, you threw out the big joker last time. I'm going to throw out the big joker right now, because I know this might make everybody's list. Supreme Clientele Ghost.
Oh,
you know what I mean? I think it set off in 2000. I think it was 2000, 2001, 2000. Like, I feel like 2000 through 2005 was a beautiful 5-year run. You know what I mean? And I felt like Supreme, for people who don't remember 99 going into 2000, the world was supposed to end, Y2K, the computers ain't gonna work and nothing. I know we've forgotten about all that stuff, but the world was supposed to end, 2000. You know what I mean? So for Ghost to come and hit us with Supreme Clientele, I mean, just a classic album. Ghost, one of the few members that on his second album was still working with RZA, which to me is one of the reasons why it was so dope. But then he had other producers. I mean, Beatnuts did one, you know what I mean? Which is probably one of my favorite songs off of Supreme Clientele, but just too many bangers on that. So that is the first joint I'm going with. Vague, did Supreme make your list for this?
It absolutely is. It's right at the top. 2000. Ghostface, Supreme Clientele. I was hosting Strictly Hip Hop around that time, and no exaggeration, that whole year, one song, maybe damn near every song of that album became something in rotation, heavy rotation. 1 minute is, Child's Play or One or Nutmeg and all of that. So I think it was a surprise, but also it was just so good production wise. Obviously rhymes like Ghost trying a new style where, like he said on Drink Champs, he's like, none of it means anything, but hip hop heads, it's like, but when you said the devil put fear inside the black babies, like, well, maybe that made sense. But you know what I'm saying? It was just his rhyme style, the beats. It was just entertaining. The skits were entertaining. You know what I'm saying? So it's just one of those albums. Like, it has to be a landmark album, a Bible album, because it's doing so many things. And if you were around during that time, it was the album of that year. Like, hands down. Like, no matter what came out that was also good, you was like, but is it better than that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, we wore it out on Strictly Hip Hop. So,
yeah. JR, what about you? Did this make your list?
It was on my list. Like y'all said, in 2000 with this, I ran this like crazy in my room. Like, you know what I mean? It got to a point where my mom actually got sick of it. Like, she was like, "Can you chill?" Like, I'm done with listening to it. And then one thing I love about Ghost, he's an R&B dude for real. So he knows how to pick the right samples. You know what I'm saying? So it was like I was getting the sample love that I loved, and then Ghost was just And I did not know at first he was still working with RZA, to be honest with you, until I looked at the credits and I was like, oh shit, he's still rocking with RZA. So I thought the album was dope. And then, like you said, in 2000, I think everybody that I knew was playing this. So I was like, obviously the impact was that big because everybody was playing it. So yeah, so this definitely was on my list as far as impact for sure.
Right. And just to bring it back for the listeners, the whole premise of this is not, these aren't necessarily albums that, I mean, this is an album we love, but it's also more about the impact that it had for hip hop and why we want to pass it forward. So there's going to be a lot of albums I may name that I necessarily didn't love. There's albums on here that I love but didn't make the Bible because I felt like it didn't really have not that it didn't have an impact, but again, this is if we're passing on to the next generation, it's kind of talking about that. I think for me with Supreme, it was one of the few, and Vay, correct me if I'm wrong, follow-up albums from people's debut albums under the RZA. So I'm not talking about, like Words from the Genius. I'm talking about Wu-Tang on. So Jizz's, I know Liquid Swords is officially a sophomore album, but I felt like the follow-up albums, Immobilarity wasn't that, Beneath the Earth wasn't that, Meph's follow-up wasn't that, Old Dirty's out. So, and again, this is no shade towards the Wu, but I think we don't talk about their follow-up albums like that. Like, we kind of give them a pass. It's like, well, we don't want to talk about that. But Ghost was the one who came through with the follow-up album, like, out the gate. So to me, that's one of the reasons why this had to make it, because it really broke the mold from what people were getting after, for their sophomore or for Genius, their next album. Vague, Supreme or Iron Man, which one do you prefer?
It's Supreme Clientele for me, hands down. I like Iron Man a lot. I wasn't crazy about it, and I think that had a lot to do with Purple Tape, because once I saw the cover, I was like, oh, it's Purple Tape too. But it was different, you know what I'm saying? So it took a while. Like, I love it now.
Right.
But yeah, back then it was more so like Supreme Clientele was just totally unexpected. Let me add on one little thing to what you were saying as far as like why we're choosing this album. I've listened to, and I don't typically do this because I don't really follow his podcast, but Rick Rubin had an interview with RZA that he did a couple of episodes back, and I thought it was fantastic because you felt like you were getting everything you wanted RZA to talk about all in one interview. From his motivations, his techniques, his history, like for You Kill, his history with the different things he used, beat making. Like it was excellent. And they went from beginning to end. And one thing that stood out talking about second albums was that 5-year deal he made with the Clan. Like, for 5 years, we're going to make the Wu album, or make your album, your album. And after Wu-Tang Forever was over, everybody kind of went their separate ways. And to your point, it showed, because it felt like everybody else wanted to do something different than what RZA's plan was. But Ghost was the only one was like, nah, I need the RZA back. And as you can see, it's crazy how things played out. But if you haven't listened to that interview, I think you would dig it. Cause
where's it at? Is it Apple or is it YouTube or?
Yeah, it's a podcast, so it's on YouTube. It's on Apple. You like a link or whatever to it, because it was sent to me, and I was like, I would say that whole thing, and I ain't listened to a 2-hour podcast in audio form in a while. But it explains a lot of what we were talking about.
Does he talk about the floods?
No, because you know what? He was asked a question about, I think because the Wu were like, this is the funny part. He was asked about something, and he was like, he don't know where it is, and that's when Flood came to my mind. But they were asked about some early Wu, like I guess when they were practicing or whatever, prior like songs that weren't on 36 Chambers, that he was like, yeah, they still exist. Somebody has them. I'm like, what?
Wow.
Like, where is that? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Man, that's crazy. That's crazy. All right, JR, Supreme or Iron Man?
Oh, Supreme. For sure, for me. I like Iron Man, though, for real, but...
I think I'm the only human being who likes Iron Man better than Supreme. But again, to me, it's like low end and midnight. Yeah, I don't know. Iron Man, I just love that joint, man. You know what I mean? And the color. Here's a stupid thing. I don't know if y'all remember what's happening. It was this episode when Dwayne was betting, and you know, the like sports boogie was trying to Brody him, like, "Yo, give me your secret." It's the helmets. I love that cover. Like the cover of Iron Man, them colors just pop to me, and it's just like that cover looks so crazy. But then Fish and everything on it. But again, you can't go wrong either way. So Supreme definitely makes it. Vay, what you got up for your first joint, bro? Well, I mean, I know it's Supreme, but what's your next up?
I'm going to cheat. You know, in the vein of Porsche being the Josie. This is going to be a twofer because I feel like you can't have one without the other when you're talking about Bible and impacted moments in hip hop. But it's 2001. It's Jay-Z's The Blueprint and Nas's Stillmatic. Because it's almost like they're kind of connected. It's almost like you got to listen to Blueprint and then listen to the answer that's Stillmatic.
Right. It's a good point. It's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? It's a good point. Tough not to have one without the other. Obviously, the Jay-Z joint, he was crazy on top as far as like MC in New York or whatever, or even more than that to some people. He released on 9/11, you know, and still sold, which was crazy, right? Considering what happened. And just as an album, I remember when it first dropped, I thought he was a little loose lyrically compared to what he had done previously. But the production, except for that Timbaland joint, I've been skipping that. How many years has it been? I've been skipping it ever since. You know what I'm saying? But for the most part, it's just so many memorable songs on there. As soon as you press play, you're like back in 2020 or 2001. You know what I'm saying? With the Napster and the burning CDs, and I had a compact computer. It's like, oh, the album's out. Let me download that shit and pick it up tomorrow. Right. You know what I'm saying? It just represented that time so well. And Jay-Z's status, to me, his peak in a lot of ways, or one of his peaks. And then Stillmatic is kind of the same way because it's another shift or a landmark in hip hop because not just because of Ether, you know, being a diss record it was, and him dropping it on Jay-Z's birthday, but then he put out an album that we all liked coming off of Nostradamus, which, you know, then everybody started going crazy for Nas, like what a lot of people experience today with King's Disease, and like, oh, Nas is like, we've been feeling that way when a new Nas thing came out. And I think for Nas, I think what stood out is, and this was probably the first time, you can't count him out. You can't count him out. As soon as you think that was the first time where you was like, oh, he's not going to be whack because you can't really sleep on him. You know what I'm saying? So I think for a lot of those reasons and who they are and that time in their career with those albums, definitely needs to be a part of a Bible discussions.
Right. What about you, JR? Did you have the Blueprint?
I had both. I had Illmatic and the Blueprint. To me, I think this kind of solidified Jay as Jay-Z for me, for real, because it was like you said, Vague, that Hovey shit, that Timbaland record, I'm good on that. That ain't even on my joint. Like, I have removed that song on my list. Like, I don't even, when it plays, I don't even do that.
Now, here's the wild part. So y'all like the Trackmasters joint more than that one?
Which one was the Trackmasters?
You don't.
Oh, okay. No, not that you don't know. That's just.
That's just. Yeah.
I forgot what the name of that shit was, but that's the one I can't stand. I can, if I had to pick, I can stomach the Timbaland, but I can't stomach that. Hold on.
With the Ola Ovito action?
I can't.
No. Blueprint. This joint, this bad. I can't remember it. Jigga That Nigga.
I definitely
like that record.
I skipped
it. Huh? Yeah, like, but if I had to get rid of one, I'm getting rid of Jigga That Nigga before whole veto.
Yeah, I don't know. So see, my 2001 self is in the club, so maybe.
So Jigga yeah nigga is still that shit.
Okay. Right. So maybe I was probably
and then I'm 16, so I'm like, I like that beat.
Right.
So yeah. So with this, and then everybody again, as far as impact, I knew everybody was playing this. Like everybody, like anybody I was around was playing this joint. So the impact that he had, and like you said, September 11th, and he still sold like that was crazy. You know what I mean? It was just like Jay was just on top. You know what I mean? When this came out, so this kind of solidified his legacy to me, and it was like Jay is there, and then we get introduced to a Kanye. You know what I mean? So it's like, and this album is just dope for real. So definitely had to be on my list for sure.
Yeah, and it's definitely on mine. I mean, for every reason that y'all said, for me, and I know I'm by myself with this was like a Jay comeback album for me, because I didn't, not necessarily like after that third album, I kind of tapped out with Jay. It was kind of like, okay, you're not making music for the boom bappers no more. And like the opposite of Vegas, I wasn't in the club. I'm strictly, on some like PMD. I'm strictly hip hop. I listen to Kid Capri. Like I'm strictly hip hop, and it's like you doing that shit for them. Like give me a ring when you come back to us. And I never forget my man Jay sent me and was like, yo, buy this shit, man. Like, yo, Jay back. Like, he back. You know what I mean? I remember buying this at Borders Books. Now, Borders Books in 2001, nigga, you paying $18.99 for this.
I was just about to say.
This is not Best Buy, no $9.99. You look at the Sunday flyer to see what's on sale. But when that nigga said, no, buy that shit right now, I was like, fuck it, I'm right here at Borders Books. And I remember me and T listening to it, and it was just like, yo, this shit is crazy, And I mean, like you said, the introduction to Kanye, Just, and Bink. Bink always talks about how his name gets left out. But I mean, the drum rolls, the live drum playing kind of, mixed in with the samples is an example of what was to come from the Justice League and Jake One and many other producers who, would use that. And it's ironic that Bink and Just are there, because if you don't know, Bink and Just had a whole issue with Just biting Bink's style and everything like that. So I mean, just a perfect album for me. I forgot to ask y'all this, since it's all on ours. What is your favorite song? What's your favorite song off of Supreme Clientele, babe?
Shit.
It might be One. Because
that's mine.
I feel in the car, like every time the sample hit, I'm like, I love that shit. I love it.
Yeah. Shouts to Juju for that. JR, what about you? What's your favorite?
That's mine. That's One. I had to think, and I was like, One. And I'm like you, babe. That sample, One. Like that's me. Like I love that record. Love it.
Yeah, for me, I'd probably go with Nutmeg. I mean, setting the album off like that was just, crazy to me.
RZA did that, right?
Yo, I thought he did, but now I'm looking at the credits and it says Black Moses. You know what I mean? So,
he's on it.
Yeah, he's on it. It says, but I mean, again, this is Wikipedia. I mean, I would have to go. My ghost over here. Yeah, like I'll dig in the. I have to, blow this up because my 50-year-old eyes can't read these small words no more, and I'll figure it out. And then the Blueprint. What's your favorite joint off the Blueprint, babe?
You don't know?
Yeah, that shit was crazy.
That beat, the way Jay rhyming 1 million, 2 million, 3 million, 4, like he sound unbeatable on that album. Like, yo, I am the king of New York. I love that record.
Right. What about you, JR?
Mine is All I Need from Bink. He did that. I love that. I love that Natalie Cole, I Can't Break Away. He uses that sample. I love that. That's one of my favorite Natalie Cole songs anyway. So for him to use that, and I just love how it, all I need. Like, I go to that. And if it's not, that's 1A and 1B is Heart of the City.
Yeah. The bass line on that All I Need is crazy, man.
Oh my God,
it's crazy. And for me, I gotta go with Song Cry, man. I love that sample. Love the storytelling. So again, just a testament to people watching. Is just that great of an album that 3 different people could have 3 favorite songs off of it. All right, JR, what's the first joint on yours?
Well, because what you call it said Vegas said Stillmatic. So that was also on my list. Because that was kind of like how we go in as far as with LL with Walking Like a Panther and Mama Said Knock You Out. It's kind of the same with Nas. With Nostradamus and this. It was like Nas came in and was like, y'all are not counting me out. Like, please don't do that no more. Even though we clearly was focused on Ether, but that album to me, I was like, even though I'm a Brooklyn head, I'm still like, I'm more of a Nas fan than I am Jay, and I don't care, y'all Brooklyn heads can, but I'm more of a Nas fan anyway. So it was just like when that whole takeover thing was happening, and I was at school, and everybody know I'm a big Nas fan, so they was like, ha ha ha. And then when he came back with Stillmatic, I was like, ah, bitch, now what? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, then I was like, now what? He ain't gonna give you nothing like no rewind. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not doing that. You know what I'm saying? So it was, and then everybody was rocking to it too. So it was like, now it's like, I'm back and don't ever count me out. So definitely had that on my list.
I think the crazy thing is, like you said, comeback, because the only person I knew who was still there for Nas was my barber at the time, this boy Lee. He was like, it didn't matter what Jay did. It was like, nah, Nas can come back. I'm like, nigga, he ain't coming back. There ain't no coming back from Takeover. It's a wrap, bro. Your man's dead. So to come back like that, rewind. It's funny, from one of the shows we did, I was saying how I wonder how nobody's ever asked Nas about rewind. And my man sent me, this cat from Twitter sent me, like, I guess on Nas's masterclass, he talked about how he wrote Rewind, you know, and basically how he was just in the studio and nothing was coming. So he said he kind of did it as a punishment to himself, like, because nothing was coming. He had writer's block, and he was like, yo, I'm gonna just start a story and tell it from the back, from the ending, but then I gotta say shit backwards. So that's amazing to me that you have writer's block and you come up with Rewind. Like, that's some next level shit right there, you know. But
is this on like YouTube when you talked about this, kid? Like,
not like, he just sent me like an article, so I'll send it to you. Okay. But it was just like an article of him explaining it, and everything like that. And it was like, yeah, you know, it's kind of like a punishment to myself. He was like, it's funny that everybody loves the song like that, because I'm like, shit, I get writer's block. You damn sure ain't getting the greatest, maybe possibly the greatest storytelling song ever. You know what I mean? But Veg, I love how you did it, making that a 2-for-1, because you are right. Those two kind of go hand in hand. And it's just one of the dopest battles in hip hop history. You know what I mean? And if it's not the first, I would say that it may be one of the first where the loser, it didn't affect him at all. You know what I mean? Back in the day, in the 80s, if you battled and you lost, it was a wrap. It wasn't like Antoinette's I Got an Attitude is one of my favorite hip hop songs ever. But after you lost, it was a wrap. Like, it's almost like the record labels understood that shit too. Like, you ain't even get a second album. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you lost, it was over. You know what I mean? And this was like the first time that it kind of went from, okay, yeah, Jay lost. And I felt like this is where the money kind of came in play. It's like, yeah, but that nigga richer than Nas. So did he really lose? And it's like, damn, like, this where we at now? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we looking at niggas' bank accounts and everything like that, or whatever like that. So definitely one with that. I'm gonna come back around with I'm gonna go with Calm's Like Water for Chocolate. I think it's an amazing Calm album. I felt like this is 2001, so it's kind of mixing neo soul with hip hop. You know, we're getting almost into we're getting a Bilal now, like neo soul's in full fledged. I felt like in the 90s, you know, we were just Maxwell and Erica and D'Angelo. Now it was like starting to expand more, and I felt like Dilla working with the Soulquarians. This is like, if I'm not mistaken, maybe the first Soulquarian album, you know, is that producer conglomerate kind of coming together and doing that. Common's biggest song with The Light, you know, just to me, an amazing 5-mic album. One Day It'll All Make Sense is my favorite Com album. I didn't know how he was going to follow that up. I mean, not working with No ID and Doug Inf and all the people that got him here. But I just felt like Dilla did an incredible job with Thelonious and, you know, fucking The Questions and, you know, just, you know, Capreem's The Sixth Sense, just everything on there was just amazing to me. So I got Calm's like Water for Chocolate. Veg, what's another joint that you got up, man?
2002 Eminem, the Eminem Show. I feel like this is peak for Eminem, right? Like if you didn't listen to or like what is it, Slim Shady, whatever the hell.
Yeah, that's the LP. Yeah,
Slim Shady LP, and then a lot of people will say Marshall Mathers LP is the one, but I felt like he was like it was, and there's another person I'm gonna say this about, but I felt like this was Eminem's peak with the Eminem Show, especially when it came to the content, because he had a lot of different records that I didn't expect. Like there were your boom bap style records, there was your goofy lead single record, but then there was songs like America or White America, where he's addressing white America and the things they do and stuff like that. This is coming from a white dude who grew up in a trailer park, and I thought it was dope for him to take sort of like a conscious take that's different from what we're used to hearing in hip hop, because it's coming from a white boy talking about white America. But then he had other joints on there that was hot, like the Superman joint was hot. I didn't expect him to have like almost like a party type joint that was alright.
Right.
My favorite is probably the Nate Dogg feature, Till I Collapse, because I like how he's approaching the lyrics. I like his flow. It's just, to me, it's like this is the best Eminem. Like, and what he's done for hip hop, he changed a lot of perception on. Obviously, there's other white dudes that could rhyme in hip hop, like Beastie Boys and House of Pain and all of that. But Eminem was different. He was like boom bap white boy. Like, I've come from the underground. Sure, I made it, but his technical skill was just on another level. He even had a song where he was like taunting cannabis, and this cannabis wasn't that far removed from being crazy.
Right.
And he didn't want any smoke with Eminem, which I was just like, I wanted it to happen. But it's just an album that just has so much in it. He took a steep dive right after that shit also. But to me, this was like the peak Eminem and a landmark album for something different in hip hop.
Right.
So that was the main reason why I picked it.
Would you say this is like, I know you said it's peak, so is that like the same for you as like prime, like when we did the show like 97 Hold, where it's like if you have to, so this is prime Eminem. This is okay.
Right. This is like, he got the Eminem Show, he got the movie, he got the soundtrack, Lose Yourself, like firing on all cylinders. All in this, probably not just that year, but probably in and around that year, kind of like Nas with the Illmatic into Esco and I-49 and Verbal Intercourse. But yeah, I think I would, if there was a year to pick Eminem at his peak, it's probably around that time.
All right, no doubt. JR, what you got up next, bro?
Okay, so I have The College Dropout. I have that on my list. During that time, I think when it came to hip hop, it was very pop-ish. You know what I'm saying? With like the Eminem and the Jai and the Nelly and the this and the that. And it was like, Kanye came out with a conscious kind of, style. You know what I mean? Like, you didn't have to be gangster. You know what I mean? And, I just remember I went to like 3 stores because it was sold out. So that just showed me that everybody was going to get it. And then when I got it, like it's still my favorite Kanye album for real. Do I feel like it's the best? No, because Late Registration I feel is. But I feel like The College Dropout really has to be a Bible because of what he changed and the impact that it did and what it created afterwards, like the Kid Cudis and the J. Coles and the this and the that. So for real, I love this album down for real. So yeah, I definitely had to make this a part of the Bible for real.
All right, no doubt. Veg, did you have College Dropout?
Nah. My thing with college, I do have a Kanye album, but my thing, I don't dislike it at all. I just wasn't feeling all that HBCU, Greek slang. That shit was bothering me a little bit.
My mom didn't like that either.
Yeah, because I get it. You dropped out, you feel a little scorned, but dog, one skit is enough. Like, chill.
She was like, she felt like he was kind of like making fun of it a little. That's what she felt.
Yeah.
So like a lot of them skits, my mom be like, turn that shit off. Like, I'm not feeling it. Like, I'm like, nah, but I'm listening to it. But she was like, nah, turn that off. It's enough. You gave me one skit, it was enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Damn, you know what, JR? I had the college dropout on mine, but I'm gonna have to change it, because what happened is I was in Ben's Chili Bowl out here in DC, and I mean I was loving Kanye from all the mixtapes he was doing and everything like that. And I mean I'll never forget, I was in Ben's Chili Bowl. The bootleg dude came in with the CDs. He was like, I got that new Kanye, and it was the version that didn't make the album version.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So the problem is, whenever I think of College Dropout, I think of the bootleg version with Keep the Receipt with Dirt McGirt, who's Old Dirty, and all those joints that didn't like make the album. You know what I mean? I mean, they had the original All Falls Down, where it was like a Def Poetry jam type thing and everything like that. So I put it on my list, but if we're talking about the official release, nah, I can't, not with that one. So I'm gonna have to come back, because I had it, but you know, I forgot on which show I was at. Somebody was like, yo, man, you talk about the version that ain't even come out. Like, you know what I mean? Niggas was like, I ain't never even heard no Keep the Receipt with Dirt McGirt and all these other joints. Yeah, you know what I mean? So there's, you know, and it's like the one on my phone is kind of mixed together, like the joint of the bootleg ain't had Breathe In and Breathe Out, or School Spirit. No. You know, it had the heavy hitters with GLC, you know what I'm saying? It ain't have Get 'Em High and, you know, different joints like that. So again, I had it down there, but I can't give it to that one because it's the bootleg that actually I would put in the Bible, and that ain't the one that's out. So I feel you on that. I'm gonna throw another big joker out here. I got 50's Get Rich or Die Trying, 2023.
Yep.
I mean, and here's the thing, and I love this because again, Vague, I swear I don't know how you get it, how you had the time, but Vague listens to literally everything. So in the 2000s, I really wasn't up on the whole mixtape circuit like that. You know what I mean? So the first time I'm hearing 50 is was that off the Into Deep soundtrack with How to Rob a Nigga. You know what I mean? And then the next thing I heard is Wankster. So I didn't hear the 50 mixtape 50 or any of that stuff. So, you know, I just hear Wankster. I'm like, yo, this shit is dope, because Ja was getting on my nerves at the time. So it was like, this shit is perfect, you know. And then Get Rich or Die Trying comes out. And I always tell people, to be 50 years old, I've never seen an album like that movement behind it. I literally went to like 5 record stores and no place had the album. That has never happened to me in 50 years. It was like Best Buy, Circuit City, Sam Goody, drove to Laurel to go to another Best Buy. They were sold out. I can't even remember when I got the album, but I didn't even get the album like the week that it came out because it was nowhere. You know what I mean? And I, again, in 50 years of living, I've never seen that before. I mean, an incredible album. I mean, Dre, 50. I mean, just an incredible album, 5 mic album. But I mean, to buy the Bible alone, this is the beginning of G Unit. This is the beginning of everything that we've known 50 to do. So yeah, just definitely had to make the joint. Vague, why don't you speak on your piece with it?
Yeah, I had it too. Get Rich or Die Trying. I wasn't on Strictly Hip Hop, but I was producing it or helping produce it with Ott. And I remember, you know, the build-up was crazy because the mixtapes were getting played on the radio. And that was unheard of. You know what I'm saying? Not even just in B-Mall, even when I would come home to NY. I remember telling the story. I came home one weekend and I went to downtown Brooklyn, Fulton Street, and they had a billboard for the mixtape, 50 is the Future. And I was like, yo, I've never seen a mixtape on a billboard before. So I already knew he was like building up to something, but I was wondering if it was going to be any better than Power of a Dollar. Because I'm like, how is he going to sound over Dre beats and blah, blah, blah. And I remember getting the album. I either got it early, not that much early, or I just went and picked it up quick. And it was just like one of those moments where all the momentum, all the hype gets met. Like as every song was going through, I was like, yep, like What Up Gangsta. The first time I heard that,
Yeah.
I was like, people think they want to crip walk when they hear Not Like Us. When I heard that, I was just like, yo, I'm about to throw it up, fam. Like, you know,
Yeah.
like I want to be a gangster so I could sing this. But it had a variety of records, you know what I'm saying? And I think when I first saw the video and heard In the Club, that's when I was like, yeah, this probably is going to be a monster, because he's not compromising what we knew from the mixtape. He's the same 50. He's just got better production and money behind him. And yeah, I think it's a classic. And I think, to your point, Kill, it was like that was the only album everybody was looking forward to.
Yeah.
And he met the hype. So
yeah. And it was funny because it's weird, because I was looking forward to it, but it hit even different when it's just like, I'm like, why can't I find this shit? Like, for instance, like with Snoop, we were all looking forward to Snoop. So if we drove to Towson and couldn't get Snoop, it'd be like, damn. Like, but I kind of was just like on a humble, like, let me go buy this nigga album. And then it was like, what you mean y'all sold out? Like, okay, let me go. And then after a while, I was like, yo, what the fuck? Like, yo, I'm gonna find this album today. And I just kept driving, and it was like, nigga, you not getting the album today. Like, it was literally, it reminded me of going to look for a pair of Jordans, like on release day. And it's like, I'm up at 5 a.m, you get to the front, they don't got your size, you go to another store, they don't have your size. And it's just like, to me, that was like the hype of buying sneakers back in the day. It was almost like that rush of like, damn, I may not get them. Like, I'm gonna get up at 4 a.m. and stand out all night. And then you kind of got that, you looking at people's feet like, damn, that boy look like he, maybe my size, and you don't know how many sizes. So it's just crazy to just like on the humble go and be like, yeah, I'm gonna buy this album. It's like, what you mean y'all ain't got it? Like, okay, let me go to another store. Fuck y'all mean y'all ain't got it? Like, and then it just kept going. It was like, damn, I can't even listen to the album. Like, you know what I mean? So that's it. JR, what about you with Get Rich or Die Trying?
Well, yeah, my brother Vernon was a big fan of 50. So that's how I was introduced to him, to be honest with you, with the Guess Who's Back and 50 is the Future. And like you said, they had it up as a mixtape. Like, that's how, like, obviously you knew something big was coming with 50, for real. So it was like you was really anticipating Get Rich or Die Trying, and being in New York, it was like, yes, like, we want this. You know what I'm saying? Like, we want this. Everybody's talking about it and all that. And I went to like 3 or 4 stores to actually get it. And some of the songs that I had already knew was on, some of these mixtapes. You know what I'm saying? So some of these songs I had already knew. But the force behind this, it was the force. It's like you had to be there. You know what I'm saying? To when this album came out. And like you said, they once In the Club came out, it was like 50 was out of here. You know what I mean? Because he got everybody prepared for Wankster. And then once In the Club, doom, 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 it was like, okay, he's out of here. You know what I mean? But like when I first put it in and I heard What Up Gangsta, I was like, shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you like, whoa, and it's thumping in my car, and I'm like, whoa. And then go from that to like Many Men, I was like, oh my God. You know what I mean? So it was, yeah.
Kill, like you said, like opening lines, like the first line, they say I walk around like I got an S on my chest. Now that's a semi-auto and a vest on my chest. I was like, God damn, this is, I don't know what else is here, but
yeah. I mean, and that's it. I mean, that's what I mean. You put that in, you hit a little coin fall, and then fucking What Up Gangsta come on. Like, to me, I don't know anybody who could have been disappointed. Like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, I'm not
waiting before Many Men. That's right, my fault.
But yeah, JR, I'm with you 100%. Like, just an incredible album. Vague, what's your favorite song on it?
Oh, damn.
It changes so much. Like I want to say What Up Gangsta, but I think it's You Like My Style.
Okay.
I just love how that joint builds. I love its flow. Like, 50, you need some help? Chill, shorty, I got this. Like, I love that joint.
Yeah. JR, what's your favorite joint?
I'm still thinking. Because I got, oh God. Because I rock with If I Can. You know what? I'm probably gonna have to go with Patiently Waiting.
Okay.
I'm gonna have to go with that. I'm gonna have to go with Patiently Waiting because I had to think, and I was like, did it go from Mini? I was like, how'd I forget Patiently Waiting? I just love that beat. Like it's woo. Oh, so yeah. So I'm gonna go with Patiently Waiting. That'll be mine.
Yo, for me, I gotta go with Heat, man. Like when I heard that gun cock, like as the snare, and then the gunshot, like it was like, yo, this is crazy. Then when that nigga say, like, if you smart, you be shook at me because I'm tired looking for you, spray your mama crib, make your ass come look for me. I was like, God damn, like, good Lord, this dude just is not, you can't lose right here, man. You know what I mean? We gonna have to do a show because I will be interested, beg to hear your thoughts on what happened to 50. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it just kind of was downhill after this album. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I thought the Massacre was good, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't anywhere for me of the Get Rich Die Trying. I felt like he just never got back to this. And again, you know, I've heard it, you know, it's like he murdered Ja Rule, but then he kind of became Ja Rule.
That's what I was going to say. Like, he became him.
Yeah, that's, it's almost like when I heard Candy Shop, I was like, nigga, like, what the fuck happened?
I did the same thing. I was like, this?
Right. Like, how did we go from this to that? But okay, you know, but that's another show. So definitely Get Rich or Die Trying. Beg, what you got up next for your next joint?
Up next, 2004. This wasn't an album I just on quickly. Oh, hold up. I think I lost it. Mad Villainy.
Yeah.
I wasn't like day one, you know, with the crowd and all of that because I still wasn't that much of a fan of MF Doom because, you know, he was rhyming all off beat and, you know, just saying random shit. And I'm like, what? Y'all niggas like this?
Yeah.
But, you know, once you get it, you get it. You know, you know that you can't listen to everybody with the same ears. That's what makes certain people special. That's what made Dilla special to me. You know, and I felt like this, along with the production and just everything that album is, it's almost like artwork in a way. You know what I'm saying? Where you can interpret it whatever way you want. You can like certain songs and other people don't like these songs or whatever. It's just more, it's one of those albums where you really can't put it up against like some of the albums we named that can come across a little bit more traditional in flows and rhymes and subject matter. It's just hip hop. It's just free form hip hop. It's just the dude in the cypher who's not going to talk about what everybody else is talking about. He becomes the most interesting person in the cypher. And it's the same thing with Madlib with the production. So I think, you know, if there's an MF Doom album that has to be in the Bible, I think it should be this one because this is probably his best work critically. So.
What's the album called?
Mad Villainy.
Okay.
Yeah. This joint made mine too. And most people know I've become more of an MF Doom fan, and that's thanks to Nay. You know, like she loves MF Doom. So, you know, just hearing it in her room all the time. And I think, Veg, I was like you, like I've said plenty of times on this show, sometimes I'm a hip hop snob. You know what I mean? Like, and I would hear him and I'm like, this nigga looped up Anita Baker. I don't want to hear that shit. You know, and the chops ain't right. You know what I mean? Like, man, get the fuck out of here with that. And then you got Supersonic coming out of nowhere. Like, man, get that shit out of here. Shit sound like noise. You know what I mean? But once you come off that hill, I'm like, this shit's kind of dope. Like, Nay's playing in the crib or in the car, whatever like that. But this, I think because Madlib did it, like, I enjoyed the beats more. And definitely, you know, I mean, MF Doom, for people, you know, who may not know, you know, I mean, this dude has a cult following. Like, MF Doom, like, the rumors of, yo, that's not even him on stage. That's somebody else with the mask on. It's like he really took on this superhero persona. And I was in Chicago with one of Ev's peoples who's a big MF Doom fan. And I mean, he was just going into detail. And it's just like, wow, like this dude really has a cult following of people who rock with him. So definitely. And it is one of my favorite albums. It is one of my favorite albums. Why am I stuck?
Yeah.
Fuck me. I don't even know how I got stuck.
No,
All
you're
right.
good.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what that was. But, you know, love this album. Wasn't a big fan of him before this album, but this to me has to be in the hip hop Bible. You know, like, again, the world's ending. People, to me, you can't talk about the 2000s without talking about MF Doom, you know, and the impact he had on the game. So definitely a dope pick. Gerald, what you got up next for yours?
All right, this one I put in, and it's a story behind it, but I'm gonna say Thug Motivation 101 with Young Jeezy.
Okay.
Yes, and the reason why, because I didn't even know of Young Jeezy until I got here in, you know, Maryland when I went to college. Because, you know, I'm in New York. I'm like, what's this country shit? Like, I'm not into this. Like, it wasn't doing nothing for me. So when I got down there, and it was like everybody was playing it, and then I heard the remix of So Crazy with Jay. And I was like, oh, okay, so Jay-Z on this dude. So I'm like, all right, well, then he hot then. So I'm like, all right, well, let me listen to it. Because while everybody's playing around me, like, you know, Kill, how you said I give the tone of face, I was giving that to them. Bang.
Right.
Like, I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, he like, yeah. Like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like, what is he doing? Like, I'm not into this. But after a while, after hearing it and started playing it, it was like everybody was rocking to this record. And it was like a trap album. And I'm, you know, with me doing research on it, and that's when I started my research in college on this album. I was like, people was like, it's such a trap record and it wouldn't be trap music without it. I don't know if that's true or not. Asking y'all, I'm not sure, but I've seen that, and I just know when you talk about Young Jeezy, everybody be like, Thug Motivation 101, Thug Motivation 101. So I was like, and especially the way everything was going in Atlanta, I was like, obviously, I would have to throw this on there. So Thug Motivation 101, I'm going to say the impact that it had and all that.
I would say this is where, I'm one of the people who will gladly admit to where my holes in hip hop are. The whole trap thing, that's a hole in hip hop for me. Like, I don't know that. And it's one of those things where I would love to have somebody from the South, you know, be a reoccurring guest on the show to be able to speak to things like that. Because it's so funny. Somebody said something to me the other day. Dude was like, yo, go Birds. You bit that shit from the Orioles. And I'm like, bit the shit from the Orioles? I was like, nigga, we've been saying that shit for years. He was like, nah, we sparked that shit. We've been saying that before the Eagles was around. So I, you know, had to Google when the Eagles started and when did the Orioles come to Baltimore. And I was like, nah, nigga, it's like this. He's like, here you go, going to Wikipedia to look shit up. And I was like, yeah, this is what we're not going to do. What we not going to do in 2025 is diss somebody for not knowing something and then going to look it up so I could get the right answer. We're not going to do that. You know what I mean? Now, I will diss people if we talking about hip hop and they give me the Webster's definition. I'm like, nigga, hip hop different. We make up our own definitions. Like, you know what I mean? What's a classic in Webster's mind is not hip hop. But if I'm looking up, well, what sports team came out first? Like, my nigga, I don't know when the Eagles were founded. Like, so, but what we not gonna do, boys and girls, is we aren't gonna diss people for wanting to be intelligent and having the right answer. You know, so I have no cut cards to say like, look, that's a part of the game that I missed. You know what I mean? But I definitely wish we could. So if people out there, if somebody from Atlanta, that's why I miss Nick being on the show, because he was from Atlanta. He was the ATL representative to talk about that side of the South and to make sure that they're getting their due and all that. So if somebody out there from ATL, y'all want to be a reoccurring guest, be our down South representative to, you know, chop it up about these things, I would love to have that. But babe, what do you think about the Jeezy joint?
I wasn't a fan, to be honest. I remember being at one homecoming, and my homie who's from New York was trying to convince me, and I'm like, man, I want to hear all that shit. He was like, nah, it'd be the ad libs. I'm like, the ad libs? That's where we are.
That was
like,
me, man.
The ad libs are the reason why I should listen. Come on. But I started to like Jeezy more because anytime he did features, whether it was with Jay or Kanye, I was like, yo, his verse is crazy. So I felt like I was missing out because I was like you, kid. I was feeling distracted by like, nah, it's fucking ad-lib album. I ain't buying that shit. But I think to a person that would say, you definitely can't tell the story of trap hip hop.
Oh yeah, without Jeezy. Yeah,
T.I. was doing it, and he was more lyrical, but that's why I was more focused on T.I. than I would a Jeezy. So I don't know.
All right, tell me this. What would be the definition of trap music? You know what I mean? Because I know you got the Trap Music Museum in Atlanta, and I get it. It's supposed to be just about selling dope. And if that's the case, then is it only down south dope? Because the Clips were selling dope from day one, but they're not trap music. So is it just down south niggas selling coke? That's just it?
I think it's that combined with a specific sound that may be more bounce oriented. Okay. So it's like you got that specific sound, however way it comes out, but you're also talking about selling drugs at the same time. So it's like a combination
of both. Okay. All right, no doubt. And for somebody out there watching, because I've been on Twitter long enough to know, somebody saying, nigga, how the fuck you a hip hop connoisseur and you don't know about? Here's the thing, y'all. Everybody don't know everything. And if you come across somebody who knows everything, please get the fuck away from them, because they probably don't know shit. Just understand, a connoisseur does not mean I'm all knowing and I know everything and every album that's ever come out I've listened to. Because trust me, whoever's making that statement, you probably ain't heard half the shit that we was naming from the 90s and the 80s, but how whatever, you a hip hop head. So again, just keep in mind, I don't know everything. Never claim to. Will be the first to admit where my holes in my hip hop game is, or I missed that, or I didn't see. It's just part of the game, y'all. We gotta stop with this. Like, if you a hip hop connoisseur, you a lover of hip hop, that you've heard every single song and every single album that's ever come out, and you know everything. So just the FYI. Next joint I got up, one of my favorite albums ever, Slum Village, Fantastic Volume 2, man. I cannot talk about being at 889 and getting the 12 inches in for, get this money. Oh God, I don't know. The first time I heard I don't know with all the James Brown, counting and sayings, it was like, yo, this is crazy. Climax, girl shit, hold tight. Then when you get the album, players, vague. I don't know how much you were listening to Strictly Hip Hop back then. I think we played Players more than any song. It had to be a top 10 Strictly Hip Hop song ever. Like, we play Players every hour on the hour. Like, that shit, you can almost, what time is up? It must be on the hour. They playing Players. Like, we loved Players. And I just think that whole album, this to me was Dilla's coming out party, and this is still when he was JD, because there's really a very big difference between JD and J Dilla. But just everything on here. Hold Tight with Q-Tip, Tell Me with D'Angelo. This has the Forth and Back that I wasn't a fan of. The original Back and Forth was on Volume 1. Fall in Love. Oh God, man. Raise It Up. Just to create Once Upon a Time with Pete Rock. Just an incredible album. So for me, like I said, this is just really from a biblical perspective for hip hop, change the production game. Like, this is when people were like, what's Jay doing? You know what I mean? And this is where I think as we talk about the cult fans that MF Doom has, the cult fans of Dilla, this is where it all got started at. You know what I mean? And again, I know people don't really like Slum as MCs. I was never mad at them, man. But then again, I don't need you to be super lyrical. I just want good songs. I felt like Slum Village could give you good songs. You know what I mean? People were like, oh, they like Dilla's Group Home. Yeah, they're not. They're much better than Group Home. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, that definitely Fantastic Volume 1 had to make my list. Babe, what you got up next?
2005, Little Brother, The Minstrel Show.
I knew somebody was gonna do it.
And I'm like you, Kill, but probably more the reverse. Sometimes I make boom bap music. I got a lot of boom bap, in my catalog, but my boom bap friends who swear by everything, sometimes I'm a little skeptical when they come around like, yo, it's Little Brother. I'm like, who is that? Like, what's that name? Like,
Right.
I just thought I knew what it sounded like before I heard the shit. So I was like, I'm good on that shit. Until I listened, and I was like, nah, this is like, because this was around the ringtone era.
Right.
So everything that was hitting the radio was like throwaway singles. And listening to Little Brother, at least for me, I know some people are listening, but The Minstrel Show is just such a great concept album that's not only, it's talking about mainstream hip hop in a very creative way. Like, I never really liked, especially the artists I like, talking about mainstream because I always felt like, nah, just make your music and make it great. Don't waste any lyrics or any bars talking about Versace or shiny suits and shit. But I felt like the way Little Brother did it was so much better because it was entertaining. You couldn't deny their skills. You know what I'm saying? Fonte was incredible. The skits were excellent. The whole thing, the cover. And what, you know, beyond just that, at that point in time, what also makes it a landmark album. For an album this good, BET said they're too intelligent to play their music.
Yeah.
And it was like, what? like it just didn't make any sense. And it was probably one of the times in hip hop, if not the last time, you saw something like that where a group, an album, the music, the MCs should have blown up off the strength of this album and didn't because the game was changing. So it just stood out. But it's a great album, and I definitely think it should be in the Bible. So.
Yeah, no, I definitely got this joint too. And a lot of for what you said just about the BET piece, because I felt like this was like another one of those moments. You know what I mean? Where it's like, damn, we're you know, with me with Little Brother, you know, it was the listening and I wasn't in love with it like everybody was. You know what I mean? So it made me skeptical to even listen to The Minstrel Show, which to me is much doper, in my opinion, than the listening. Not one of my favorite albums, but because of what Veg just said, as far as like, I felt like there was like a line drawn in the sand, like now you got to choose even harder. Like, it's not just like your record label putting the pressure on you to make certain songs. Now you can make the music you want, but now if you want the radio play and the video play, now it's too intelligent. You know what I mean? Which, you know, is extra fucked up coming from BET. Even though I think at that time they had been sold to Viacom, which was who owned MTV. So even though it's BET, it's not even owned by black folk anymore. You know, it's just, those are the little things. And I mean, again, the skits, everything like Veg said about the album. So, but for me, this is like a testament. It's not one of my favorite albums, but I definitely think it deserves a place there because Little Brother definitely, you know, they, around that time, I think that's why they got so much love, because they were the closest thing we were kind of getting to. Like I always tell a lot of people, a lot of younger people was like, oh, this was like my Tribe Called Quest. You know what I mean? Like this was like this, the next generation's how we feel about Tribe. And I kind of was always telling people like, yeah, that's how my mom felt about New Edition. It was like, yeah, this is like the new Jackson 5. And my mom's like, yeah, I had my Jackson 5. I'm good. That's for y'all. Y'all enjoyed it. And it's like, that's how I feel. I fuck with Little Brother, but I'm like, yeah, I had my Tribe. Yeah, you kids enjoy them, but I'm good over here too. So now, Veg, I think a great pick and definitely something that deserves to be in the hip hop Bible. JR, what you got up next?
Shoot, because we're gonna set. Oh, okay. I'm gonna say this one. The Carter 3. Because of the impact that it caused. And again, it's like we was talking about with 50, the thing behind coming to the Carter 3 was nuts. Wayne was everywhere. He was the underground he was rocking with, mainstream he was rocking with. So when the Carter 3, that's why it sold 1 million and won the first week, because everybody went and got it, because anticipation was crazy. You know what I mean? So the impact of that, and you know, that was, I mean, a Millie was everywhere, Lollipop was everywhere. Like, it was just, and I feel bad for Plies because you shouldn't have came out that day. Like, I think people got the album just cause it was like, I feel bad for this dude. Like, let me just get it, because it wasn't nobody thinking about that joint. Even though I fuck with #1 fan on that album though. But other than that, it was just like Carter 3 was everywhere, and it just took Wayne like completely out of here. And so if we want to throw a hip hop Bible of that, I would have to throw that for the impact as well.
All right, no doubt. Vague, did you have that on yours?
Yep. Right up next,
All right.
2008, Lil Wayne and Carter 3. I know hip hop heads, for the most part, say the Carter 2 is the one, which is a double album. It's probably more boom bap focused than anything from Lil Wayne. And crazy dope. Like, there's a lot of songs, but Carter 3 is peak Lil Wayne, like mixtape Lil Wayne, whatever way they want to slice it. You know what I'm saying? Hits, bars, right? He had concepts like Dr. Carter, and he was saving hip hop from dying, all kinds of stuff like that. He had great features like with Jay-Z. And A Milli was crazy. Like, I was playing it in the house, and I was upstairs, and I was like, God damn, it sounded like a club there, because I didn't know that song was on. But what stood out to me also was I liked the video for it also, because it's like him getting ready to do the video while he's basically doing the video. You know what I'm saying? I was like, why did anyone else think of that in all these years of hip hop, to just do something so easy, cost effective? You know what I'm saying? But yeah, all the things, man, that's when they started saying, I don't agree with them, but they started saying, oh, he's better than Jay-Z. And it's like, all right, slow down, bro. You know? Slow down. I like it, but relax.
Yo, what do you think it is about people that they just habitual line steppers? Like, the second something come out, it's just like, oh, he better than fill in the blank. Like,
right. You know what I think it is? Because I've said it a couple times back when I used to respond to niggas on Twitter. Now I just ignore you. I'm really good at it.
right.
I always used to say, you don't have to validate the artist you like by saying they're better than great artists.
Right.
They can just be great also. I never said Michael Jackson better than James Brown. It's fucking James Brown. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, Michael Jackson looked up to James Brown. It's the same thing with Chris Brown. He's like, man, y'all can say that shit, but I will never say that. Like, that's my goal. And I think it's just that. I think people feel like that's the only way they could feel like this person is great, but that's a disservice to that artist. You know, just let them be great for what they are, you know. So I think that's what that is. And I don't want to hear none of Michael Jackson's like that at all. Okay.
Yo, I'm always No, you got Jeff.
No, I just said on my social media, I put this on Twitter a couple of days ago. I was like, in 2025, can we just stop with the comparing to the one of one, please? Because it don't make no sense. Like, I'm over it, yo. Like, it's so dumb. And I think you hit it. It was like, I feel like they do that so it can be like, oh, they want their artists to be great. So they compare them to the ones. And I'm like, please don't. And the ones that y'all do it to be like, can y'all stop? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, please. Like, Chris done came out so many times like, y'all, I ain't on that man level. Please. Like, I'm not even near him. So please don't. So
yeah, it's funny, bro, because I'm always intrigued as like, when did that nut ass shit start? Because it's not like we was sitting around like, yo, this nigga LL better than Curtis Blow. Like, it didn't even nobody was like, yo, this nigga Rakim better than Run. Like, it was just like, oh shit, who does Rakim do? Like, there was no comparison. There was no, this dude Nas, oh, he better than Kane. Like, no, you just heard somebody new and you fucked with it, or you didn't fuck with it. But there wasn't this constant, like you said, this constant, I have to compare you to this person. You know what I mean? So I'm always wondering, you know, I feel like hip hop and basketball kind of, you know, run a similar, you know, like they're almost aligned in some ways. So I don't know if it was this constant, because I feel like with the NBA, they have to constantly sell you who's next up. So it's kind of like, you know, yeah, the NBA was patting all these sports people pockets. How many LeBron MJ arguments they done had over the years, because it's like, yo, we gotta show you that LeBron is the next. Don't forget about us. We still here, y'all. Don't know. We know MJ leaving, but we got Kobe, and we know Kobe getting over. But here come LeBron. Like, and I don't know if it kind of mixed in the hip hop that we had to start doing that. Like, oh yeah, J. Cole better than Jay, or this person is better than. But like you said, y'all, we need to stop. And it's funny, Vague, when you said that, it's just like, yeah, we never did that shit. Like, we was never at Morgan hearing somebody new, like, oh yeah, this person better than whoever the last person was dope. You know what I mean?
You know what's funny about that? Like, I think it existed back then, but it was in person. Like, you get somebody in the barbershop who'll just be like, oh, Brooklyn barbershop, man. More than big. And right. The whole barbershop, like, what? Blah, 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 blah. I think there's always been that person, but with social media or just the internet in general, you can find enough people who believe exactly what you believe, so you feel validated when you say it.
Right.
And I think that's where it comes from. People just, hop out there and feel like, well, you're going to tell me 100 people on that platform said they agree with me. I'm coming to Twitter. Y'all crazy. Right. You know what I'm saying? So.
And I think you're 100% right, because it really is about people wanting to have, like, it's like, oh, these people got my back. Like, it's almost like it's almost like in the hood would be a fight, like, yeah, I went home and got my crew. Now what, nigga? Like, and it's like, but nigga, we just talking hip hop. Like, okay, right. 50 people like my post. That means they agree with me, and only 4 people like your shit. So you lose. Like, yeah, but I have no idea how we got to this place. Because like I said, growing up, it was just like, yo, you hear somebody new, it's like, yo, this dope. You heard this new dude, Grand Poobah? It wasn't like, oh yeah, Grand Poobah doper than whoever was before him. And just this constant, it's just like, yo, Grand Poobah dope. You know what I mean? So that's crazy. Next up, I got The Game, the documentary. You know what I mean? I felt like this was kind of like the West Coast coming back at it. It was like, this dude is like, boom, he's part of G Unit. He had the 50. 50 was all over this album. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? But similar, to Get Rich or Die Trying, you pop it in. I heard West Side Story. I was like, yo, this shit crazy. Dreams by Kanye. Then you go into Hate It or Love It. Then you go into Higher. Then you go into How We Do with 50. Like, 50 was on all the singles, come to think about it. You know what I mean? And, just everything. The documentary. Oh, my God. And I'm running. Oh, man, that's my shit, man. That high tech, man. I can listen to Running. And I was never a big Yayo fan, but I love Yayo's verse on Running, man. Like, just a dope album. And then, just, top to bottom, it just had everything, for me. The Where I'm From with Nate Dogg, the Don't Worry with Mary, like Father Like Son, with Busta that. I think Buck Wild did that joint. So just an incredible album to me. And I think at the end of the day, a dope album for hip hop. It of course gives Game the bad name that he was the name dropper. Like, Game could not finish a verse without naming 452 rappers every time. But I won't hold you. It was a dope album to me. So the documentary definitely tapped in. JR, you were up next, but you was off screen for a minute. So what you got?
Okay. Shoot. You said like Water for Chocolate, right? Damn it.
Yeah. But talk on it if that was one of your jokes.
Oh, well, no, I'm gonna go with B. I'm gonna put that one. I'm gonna go with B. Okay. I'm gonna say that. Definitely was needed after this was his makeup to me after Electric Circus. Kill, don't you love Electric Circus though?
One of the greatest albums of all time. Who doesn't love Electric Circus?
So yeah, like,
and for people watching, I'm joking. I fucking hate that shit. Like,
just go back and watch Apartment 5B episode.
I have not tried to like an album as much as I've tried to like Electric Circus over the years. Because at that time, Common, after One Day Resurrection to One Day to like Water, Common was probably my favorite MC at that point. So for that shit to come out, I hated it. Would listen later, hated it. I've listened years later, like, okay, let me try again. I have tried to like that album multiple times. It's not happening. I can't do it with that shit. So
so yeah, for B, when I heard Food, I was like, oh, okay, definitely when he used the Sam Cooke joint. So that got me off the break. You know what I mean? And I was like, okay, what comment? And then he came with The Corner. Then I was like, all right. I'm going to get this record, and he killed it. Like I like the whole thing. Like I have no issue with it. So it was like his comeback. We have said a lot of albums that with people comeback albums for real, and this is definitely one for real. And like, wait, oh my God, the way Testify was done, like the way Kanye did that, woof, I was just like, yeah. So I was like, that one was on my list. It's definitely part of the hip hop Bible for me.
You know, one thing about Calm to me that I don't think we talk about enough. He's
acting.
One of those. What'd you say?
Is acting?
Oh, fuck his acting. No. He's one of the few MCs who, like, I can look at and say, okay, boom, you did One Day with Doug Infinite and No ID, which to me is a 5 mic classic. Then you turned around and did Like Water for Chocolate with basically Dilla and the Soul Quarians, a whole new crew, which is a 5 mic album to me. And now you come to work with Kanye West, and I know Dilla did too, but Kanye did the bulk of the album, and it's another 5 mic album. Like, I think it's something to be said about an MC that can work with 3 different producers, 3 different styles of production for 3 different albums. They're all, you know, if you don't think it's 5 mic, I think almost anybody will think those 3 albums are at least 4 mics or better. And to be able to do that, you know what I mean? Because most times we're like, yo, just slow down, just find one producer to rock with. But for Calm to be able to do that on so many levels, I definitely think that's a testament to how dope he is. Veg, what you got up next?
2009, Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy. Graduation is my favorite Kanye album, but this is his masterpiece because I think, like, listening to it, production-wise, the mixing, the sequencing, the features, the singles, the videos, like, everything about it was like, you know how, like, when Jay-Z came out with, what was it? Magna Carta, Holy Grail, and he was explaining, like, it's like artwork. No, it wasn't. Because once you get to the second half, it's like the shit trash. The rest of it's trash. This Kanye album sounds like artwork. Like, it just does. It's usage of different things that you would think, like, why would he use that? Why would he do that? And it's just a perfect Kanye West album to me. And it, again, when I, you know, with the other artists I mentioned, as far as like peak, I feel like with him, sometimes you feel like everything was his peak at a certain point, but to me, this is the one. This is where he mastered his craft as far as making a great album. And again, you know, it had hits, it had dope joints, it had bars. Like, it was a very dope album that, again, defined the time that influenced other artists you hear today. So,
yeah, no doubt. I mean, that joint definitely made mine. Everything Veg said, just an amazing album. Another one of those albums where, if I'm not mistaken, he got everybody and they were in Hawaii to make this album. And I remember reading about the making of it, and it was kind of like, you know, there were set times. It was almost like, okay, we play basketball from this time to this time, and we go in the studio from this time to this time. And, you know, he had pictures up where it was like no cell phones allowed, and like it was a very much lock in. This is not no lackadaisical, like everything we're doing is with a purpose. Just an incredible album, 5 mic album. I mean, Blame Game to me is crazy with Chris Rock talking at the end. And I mean, just Kanye, like you said, like peak Kanye. And again, I mean, we talk about it, but I think throughout the years with Ye kind of, you know, losing it a little bit. We don't talk enough about this album run from, you know, College Dropout, the Late Registration, the Graduation. I know I'm one of the only people who liked 808 and Heartbreaks, and then to come back with
I love it.
Yeah, My Dark Twisted Fantasy. I mean, that's a fucking... Oh, I forgot. I always leave out that fucking album that didn't have a cover. What was that shit? Yeezus?
That was after.
Yeah.
That was after.
That was after My Dark Twisted?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, okay. All right, cool. Well, good. That makes my point even better. So that 5 album run, I think, is just incredible. JR, was this on yours?
No, it wasn't on mine. It wasn't on mine. Right. But but again, it's in my top 3 Kanye albums though, for real. Because like y'all, like Vegas said, it's just It's probably Kanye at the peak, for real. Like, yeah, because then after that, it was like, like, I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? So,
yeah. I mean, and for me, my favorite joint on there is that Devil in a New Dress, man.
Everybody loves that record.
Bro, the first time, this is back when Ye was doing, I forgot what they would call, like, something Fridays. He was doing where he would drop a new song, like, every Friday. And it was just like, yo, that dropped, and it was like, yo, that shit is crazy. And then Rick Ross's verse is just incredible on that joint. So that's that. The next thing I got up, this is gonna be crazy, but I got Jay Dilla's Donuts. You know what I mean? Strictly instrumental album. As you can see, this is still in the rap, and you can see the $15.99 from Tower Records back in the day, still in the rap. And I had one. I probably own like 3 or 4 copies of this, but I mean that I've opened. But this, I needed one just to keep in the rap. And I mean, for people who don't know, Dilla was in the hospital. He had lupus, but you know, his moms and people were bringing records, and he was making beats, and you know, he basically made this. What is this? 31 songs. You know, basically on his deathbed, making these beats. That's just crazy to me. So to me, one of the dopest instrumental album projects ever. And to me, this is really what brought Dilla into when I talk about the difference between JD and J Dilla, like this is when after Donuts, every beat started sounding like these. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like how I say pre and post Straight Outta Compton, you got pre and post Donuts. Because after this, everybody was just this sound of maybe not having drums and looping things in awkward ways and different things like that was this. God, I don't even know what my favorite joint is off here. I mean, there's so many bangers. Only One Can Win. I mean, that joint is crazy on here, and I love working on it. You know, but so many dope. Oh, I'm sorry, 2 Can Win, not 1 Can Win. 2 Can Win. But definitely one of my favorite albums right there. Vay, what was your favorite joint off of My Dark Twisted Fantasy?
Damn, I might have to look at it again because there's the joints that come to mind right away. But I don't know if I could say they were my favorite though. Let me see if I can look real quick.
And I could definitely say my favorite Nicki Minaj verse is on that. Not that I'm even that would be the only Nicki Minaj verse I know, but it's definitely her verse on Monster was crazy to me. So love that joint to death too.
I think I like the other posse cut, Soul Paul.
Yeah, Soul Paul.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like Pusha T killed
it.
And even the workup for that album, because I remember him being on Saturday Night Live and him just having the MPC 2000 XL on stage when he did Runaway, and it was like, oh shit, those the drums from the basement from Pete and CL joint, and it was just. Damn, my man was like, yo, this nigga on, you know, this is back in the day for people watching where you didn't see equipment like that. So it was like the CMPC 2000 XL on stage. It was like, yo, that shit dope. You know what I mean? So that's definitely one. JR, what's another album you've got?
It's the last one, and I'm not going to talk about this long. It's just the impact of it all, because now we got all of these. I'm going to have to throw Nicki's Pink Friday since you said something. And the reason why, because after all these labels realized girls can now sell. You know what I'm saying? So it was like before then, it was nobody. You know what I mean? It was the ones that we were rocking with still.
Right.
You know what I mean? So there was nobody else. So once Nicki came with Pink Friday, it was like, oh, we can create more of these. And then you got the Cardis and the City Girls and all of the girls, whatever you want to call them. But yeah, so if you're gonna throw it in there, I gotta throw Nicki in there. I'm not the biggest fan of her at all, but respect is due. So I had to throw Pink Friday in there for real. So I don't have a favorite song, so no.
Okay, so JR, for you, this is you just went with 9 from 2000 to 2012.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So JR, you went with 9. And Veg, you did the same. You went with 9. Okay.
Yep.
All right, I'm the only one in here with 13, so I got a couple more.
Okay, Jodeci.
No, it's not about Jodeci. It's just if I got 24 from 2000 and 2024, if I got 18, I can pick. I'm using 13 of them. Next episode, I'll be quiet as shit because I only got 5. You know what I mean? So,
I had 3 reserves because I broke it down to 9, so I can do those at the end.
Right. Yeah. So Vague, what you got left for yours?
2012, Kendrick Lamar, Good Kid, Mad City.
That's the last one. Yeah.
It was one of them joints where I was just like, hip hop is back. Like, somebody finally made an album that's an album that we kind of grew up with. It's a journey from beginning to end. It's a story from beginning to end. It's not just about the skits. It's also about the lyrics. Even back then, it was an homage to West Coast hip hop with MC8 and Snoop being on the album, and it was funny. It felt like West Coast. It made you feel like, oh, I kind of miss the West Coast. You're like, I want to know where your mama stay, where your grandma stay. Like, I just loved it. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, even though I knew Kendrick was dope, especially after Section 80. This was just different. Like, this was just like, wow, he paid. It was so detailed in a way that, you know, like something like Life After Death, where they're basically acting out songs in the background and stuff like that. And it's kind of one of the things that's the difference in craftsmanship, you know what I'm saying? Where you just like, you know what Family Dollar sheets feel like on your bed versus good sheets. You feel that as soon as you get in, you're like, oh, okay. I cut myself when I got in the sheet. You know what I'm saying? So people who pretend like, oh, it's just hip hop. No, there's a difference, right? Like Kill always got the food analogies. Like, you know the difference between that McDonald's burger that smashed to hell versus this big ass Five Guys burger with everything spilling out. It's a better experience. And I felt like we hadn't got that in so long, even with the, you know, the legends that were still making albums and the new cats. And I think some of that came like with maybe, I'm not gonna blame it on them, but maybe like with Get Rich or Die Trying, where it was like, damn, every song is like a single. You know what I'm saying? But as an album, it's just a collection of songs. And I think Kendrick kind of rewinding back and taking us back to when albums mattered. That's why it belongs in the Bible, you know, at this late stage. So,
yeah, the crazy thing with me and Good Kid, Mad City, it's something wrong with me and Kendrick on the first listen. When I heard it, I was like, that's cool, you know. And then I keep listening, and it's like, this album is fucking incredible. But this shit always happens with Kendrick with me. Like, for some reason, I did not like the MC8 song. I was like, yo, what the fuck is this, man? What are you talking about? And then like a week later, it's like, I love this shit, you know? Then I didn't like Swimming Pool. This is one of the ones where I love Portia's idea of not listening to the singles, because I heard Swimming Pools, and I was like, this ain't that dope. You know what I mean? And the thing for me is I hadn't heard Section 80 coming into this. So my intro to Kendrick was Good Kid, Mad City. So it's all the hype I'm hearing after Section 80 over like, this is the next one. And I'm like, it's cool. But I mean, later on, I love it. Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. That shit used to be my going to work every day with my supervisor. Like, that was my theme song. Like, Bitch Don't Kill My Vibe. Like, you know what I mean? So incredible album. Vague, what's your favorite song on here?
Oh, he's so mean for this.
I mean, it's tough, but I think it's the joint called, who am I kidding? It's Backseat Freestyle.
That's mine. Okay.
Now, I really love the song Good Kid, because I think that leads into the song with MC8.
MC8, right.
Because of that beat, but that's just the old school West Coast hip hop fan. But Backseat Freestyle, man, talk about getting hyped. And it's just the way he rhyming over that joint. It's like, I'm with you. I'm the same way now, because I was the same way when I heard Swimming Pools. I'm like, oh, they the commercial shit. Like, come on,
right.
Man, what you doing? And when I heard that shit within the album, I'm like, okay, yeah,
right. within the album, it fits. It fits. You know what I mean? But it's like, this is what I mean by y'all don't pick good singles, but mine is Money Trees, man. I love Money Trees, man. That shit is crazy to me. But yeah, that's it. The next joint I got up, where is it at? We are gonna go with this joint right here. The Clips.
I knew that.
I mean, Hell Hath No Fury, man. When you just talk about, I mean, these niggas are sitting on a stove. Like, I mean, it just, you know, with a goddamn crown on, you know, with, I mean, it just is what it is. Love this album from just beginning to end. Perfect album. Why is it in the Bible? I mean, it's the blueprint to cocaine hip hop, which we would see that's still coming out to this day. You know what I mean? So these dudes been talking coke since what? Fucking 90 something, you know what I mean? So the Stove Gods and the Bennies and everybody who's selling coke and all that stuff, to me, like, these are like the forefathers of that. So this joint definitely had to go in there for me. And then just Malice, man. I miss Malice. Like, Malice is just so, that's what I loved about him and Pusha. It's just like, which one is doper? I know a lot of people say Malice, a lot of people say Push. I think now more people say Push because Push has had so many projects out and we haven't heard Malice in so long. But yo, Malice has some of the craziest verses on this joint, man. Like, just crazy. So this joint definitely got to make it. Veg, what you got up left?
All right, you want me to say all of them or what?
Yeah, you can go with all of them because I think I only got one more after that one.
I'm done after that.
So it was just three. I think 2007 Jay-Z American Gangster. I think that was more of a Jay-Z comeback style album. Kingdom Come, I think that's hands down his worst album. I don't care what else came out. Blueprint 3, that one is his worst album. Lyrically. And he had joints on there, but American Gangster felt like we finally got Reasonable Doubt too. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
The whole idea of, you know, he watched the movie and he just made songs that went with the movie. It was perfect because it was Jay-Z doing it, and you know, it was like him going back to what he used to do with like the Reasonable Doubt Jay-Z and all of that. And I just think at the time, it probably might have been one of the first albums to kind of have that, what we're used to now, that big, you know, it released and social media is talking about it, and we're all on social media, you know, going over the songs and what we like and the lyrics and stuff like that. At least that's what it felt like for me around that time. So yeah. I think that's one that is important. Next, I have 2011 Fonte Charity Starts at Home. Like Kill says, this is grown man music. This is grown man hip hop. Contemporary hip hop. You know what I'm saying? Like, it felt like he was speaking to me now. You know what I'm saying? And not me from years ago or whatever, trying to, you know, live some young dreams and shit. But I just thought it was a dope album lyrically, and even though it wasn't popular as far as sales or real popularity, it's just, to me, if anybody blows up with an album that feels like this, Fonte was the blueprint for it, because that's all he makes at this point. And I feel like it's the perfect example of an MC who's getting older, who can't talk about what he used to do, so he talks about who he is now. Yo, I gained a couple pounds, dog. Like, what? It's and it's dope, and it's bars and all of that. So, and lastly, I have one that you mentioned, 2006, J Dilla Donuts. Out of any beat tape that's ever been released, that is the one. That's my go-to. Anytime I feel like just hearing beats and sounds. Like, I love Lightworks. I don't know what the fuck that song is. Like, I don't know what it is. I just like the way it sounds. I don't know what J Dilla's doing production-wise. But I feel like if there's a beat, you know, tape, you know, no disrespect to P-Rock, you know, because I know he got his joint. To me, this is the go-to. This is somebody innovating, like Kill said. You know, this man is on his deathbed making some of his greatest music ever. You know, which is crazy to even think about. And he's inspired, especially with this project, musicians to create based off of what he was doing on his deathbed, which is crazy. You know what I'm saying? Some of them just be biting off him. I just sometimes be like, hey man, it's just Dilla. You're not doing anything different. Just play your instruments. That's what you do. But yeah, it definitely, I agree with Kill, definitely should be part of the Bible. So.
Yeah, I think the other thing that you said about Fonte is so dope because too, most people say he's the father of Drake's style.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So at the end of the day, you kind of have that kind of playing into it too. One of the joints, the last thing I had left was Marsburg by Rock Marciano from 2010. To me, Rock, I love his last time. He had Baby Kids on there. Like basically, we talking about Fonte being the father of Drake style. So many people are biting off of Rock Marciano and just, I'll never forget when I heard Reject 2. And 3 songs in, I'm like, this sounds real Rock Marciano-ish. Like, you know, I like it, but yeah. And then the 3rd song is Rex Ryan, which is Westside Gun, Conway, and Rock Marciano. I was like, oh, okay, they cool. They down with each other, you know, or whatever like that. Because I was like, yeah, 2 songs in. I'm like, yeah, this is, y'all are really doing it. But, I mean, I think Rock Marciano, I think one of the things, and we'll go into more detail for people watching, we do a breakdown of like every year of hip hop to kind of see where it's growing, where it's going, and all those things. The 2000s, I think we got away from the New York boom bap sound. Like there was so many other sounds that were coming up now. You had drill, you had Wayne, you had Yeezy, you had all these other sounds kind of coming into the market that we didn't have in the 90s. You know what I mean? So Marsburg to me kind of brought back that, you know, what KRS One say, bring it back, that old New York rap. You know what I mean? I felt like Marsburg did that. And it just sparked for what so many of these other people are doing right now. And it's one of those things I would love to ask Rock Marcy, like, yeah, like, how do you feel that like everybody bitch his shit? You know what I mean? And I'm sure he probably doesn't fucking like it, hence the song Baby Kids. But you know, it's just like, you pioneered that, man. You know what I mean? And you know, it's, well, I won't say pioneer because people were doing that. I mean, we're talking about Nutmeg off of Supreme Clientele from 2000. RZA had been having people just rhyme over no drums and shit like that. So I don't mean pioneered it in that way, but kind of just brought it back to the forefront. You know what I mean? For so many other people to do. And I even told people like, yo, Kill, you know, Alchemist got that album coming with, who is it? It's Larry June? Oh, no, it's...
Oh, yeah. Larry June, 2 Chainz.
And 2 Chainz. And I'm like, you know what, y'all listen to it. If it don't got no drums, I'm not listening. I have officially boycotted. No, the only one who get away with it is Rock, because that shit is his style, and Stove God. Those are the only 2 niggas who I will listen to an album from now on with no fucking drums. So if this fucking Alchemist album ain't got no drums, it's cool. I pass. I can't do it no more. It's like going to fucking pay for a fucking Five Guys burger and I ain't getting no bun, you know, or you know, paying for a burger and I ain't getting no. The burger ain't there. It's just a bun with the shit in there. I'm not doing that shit no more, y'all. All right, so real quick, rundown. I'm gonna run down what I had. I had Supreme Clientele, like Water for Chocolate, Fantastic Volume 2, The Blueprint, Get Rich or Die Trying, the documentary, The Minstrel Show, Donuts, Hell Hath No Fury, Marsburg, My Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Mad Villainy. So I had 13 albums. So from 2013 to 2024, I only got 5 picks left. So and we're gonna talk about that when we get there. But Vay, what did you have on your list?
All right, I had Supreme Clientele, Blueprint, and Stillmatic, The Eminem Show, Get Rich or Die Trying, Mad Villainy, The Minstrel Show, The Carter 3, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy, and Good Kid, Mad City.
And JR, what'd you have?
The Blueprint, The College Dropout, The Carter 3, Get Rich or Die Trying, B, Stillmatic, Thug Motivation 101, Good Kid, Mad City, and Pink Friday.
All right, no doubt. I can't wait to do this 2013 and 2024 show because there's so many questions I want to ask y'all. Like, I'm like, yo, like this last year, 2024 was a great year for hip hop. An amazing year for hip hop. But I'm just wondering, doing these shows and like really sitting here looking at it, like, okay, how did this album, like, why does this album deserve? And I think that's a word that we're missing nowadays when we talk. We don't talk enough about deserve, and we don't talk about earning something. So when I think about what is it about these albums that deserve to be in the Bible, like it's bugged that 2013 and 2024. It's amazing, some amazing albums, but it's really for me just not a lot that I'm like feel like it deserves. Like if the world ended, like. You gotta hear fucking, Missionary, and y'all know I love Missionary, and it's just an example. Like, so, right. I do want to kind of dive into, okay, we're getting great hip hop, but are we getting hip hop that's changing anything? Are we getting any hip hop that's actually shifting things? Like JR at the thing, it's like Grap would text me like, yo, nigga, this is fucking punishment. How the fuck am I supposed to get 12 albums from 88 to 92? Like, it's just too much. And every time we do these shows, it's like, come on, Kill, you gotta give me more than fucking 12. Like, what the fuck, nigga? I'm like looking at albums like, well, I guess I gotta pick one. Like, I'm sitting here like, I guess I gotta pick something. Like, so we gonna definitely talk about that because there is a difference between making a good album. I've seen some good movies lately. Do I watch it as much as I watch Minister Society? Fuck no. There's been some good series. Do I watch it as much as The Wire? Like, fuck no. You know what I mean? So I definitely want to have that discussion about, why isn't, and it might just be me, but why isn't there more music in the 2013 and 2024 time span that would be worthy of making the Bible and moving forward, stuff like that? But JR, give them all your information, man. Where can they check you out at?
The R&B Reps on Instagram and Twitter. Our latest episode, and this comes out, we did a catch that with Neltron, and we talked about Bilal, the firstborn second. God, that episode is so dope, man. Like, for real. Like, we really get into these songs.
Yo, can you get me back on, man? You letting niggas take all my favorite albums, man.
I told you the album that you gotta come on and talk about.
What?
Keith
Sweat?
Yes.
Make it last. Okay. Yeah. All right. I'm just like, goddamn, I love firstborn second, man.
I was like, I want Kill to come on and talk about Bilal because I know you. I'm down.
I fucking love that album, man.
What you call it? And then at least already had asked Neltron, so it was too late.
Man, God damn it, Neltron.
So we talked about that. Shout out to everybody showing love for the JR Motown life, man. These things are going viral. It's nuts. Thanks to Bro Kill for the convo. Like, focusing on what I need to focus on. Like, these episodes are doing really great. So, just follow the R&B Reps on Instagram, Twitter, JR Gorilla Soul on Instagram and Twitter. And we got some new content coming out, which is great. So look out for the R&B Reps. We got a lot in store this year, for real. So, yeah.
All right, and Bay, you got the shirt on. Talk a little bit about Willmatic.
Yes.
Yeah, man. So Willmatic is a album me and Kill put together. Kill on the beats, me on the rhymes. Dedicated to the memory of my cousin, William Graham Jr., who is also known as Ill Will, Nas's friend. And, the idea just came from me seeing how popular, for lack of a better term, he was for somebody who really wasn't presented to the world when he was alive. Just based off the strength of Nas and his legacy and keeping his name and his music. So I felt like there were things throughout the years that, Nas either didn't talk about or didn't really know him on the level that a family member. So I figured I'd put together some stuff, album. Originally it was going to be a song, but I did one song, which was Stepan Gigante, that kind of gave me the rhythm to say, maybe I'll just do a whole album about it. And me and Kill got together, did that, and it came out pretty dope. It was released a couple years ago, but obviously you can check it out on Vegas World, inc.bandcamp.com, or on any digital streaming platforms out there. But also, which is just hot off the presses, released recently, Bed-Stuy Vintage BTS is an EP of songs that didn't make the full album, Bed-Stuy Vintage. It's about five tracks EP, which is available now on all digital streaming platforms. Killed it, all the beats on that joint. And it's just, I wanted to put those out because at the time when I was finishing up Bed-Stuy Vintage, my mother started to get sick, so I started feeling like, she might go any day. Let me just put this out. But I had songs I was working on, and these are the records completed, featuring Nums. So shout out to him. He's on the project, and again, that's also on Bandcamp, vegasworldinc.bandcamp.com. But if you got an iPhone, you're on Spotify, YouTube Music, Tidal, whatever, it's also available there. So check that.
No doubt. You already know this is me. Kill889 Twitter, IG. One of my peoples on Twitter asked me what was I reading. So going forward, I'm going to try to shout out a book every week. I got 1 million books around me in the studio. So this week's book, A History of Basketball and 15 Sneakers by Russ Bingston. So basically, he's breaking down the history of the sport through 15 specific sneakers. If you're a sneakerhead like me, you definitely got to tap into this. So definitely do that. And I will check y'all next week, good peoples.